Tonight on The Roast, Tony Abbott brings an end to his first overseas trip and the American government brings an end to the American government. But first, Mark Humphries has a few words that he has arranged to form sentences.
The Liberal Democrats, that gun-loving party which won a Senate seat based on its policy of accidentally being first on the New South Wales ballot paper, will receive more than $1 million from taxpayers. Any party which receives more than 4% of first preference votes qualifies for $2.48 per vote. So to those who cast a donkey vote for that party, well done, now we're all paying for it. The party's new Senator David Leyenhelm is loving it.
Looks like I'm going to be a senator for the donkeys.
Great! Put him in federal parliament with the senator for the Broncos. The Liberal Democratic Party will pocket the money despite planning to oppose public funding for political parties.
We would like to change the system for everyone, but we're not giving the money back.
What's the appropriate analogy for this? It's like climbing a hill, only no, that's not it. It's like being on a desert island with, no, that's not it. It's like being a complete hypocrite. Yeah, that's it. Mining magnate Gina Rinehart is stepping down as trustee of the family's multi-billion-dollar trust fund, presumably to avoid more news stories about the richest woman in Australia quibbling about money with her kiddies. According to the ABC, Rinehart wants the new head of the trust to be a family member with knowledge of the resources industry and no history of wanting personal favours. No doubt then she'll suggest her long-lost relative Jonah Rinehart. And staying with people who turn rocks into money, we move now to Tweedledum. Clive Palmer has finished just 7 votes ahead of Ted O'Brien after the redistribution of preferences, triggering a full recount in the seat of Fairfax. God help those people still counting a month after the election. I know I hate counting sheep, but at least everything goes black after 5 minutes. Palmer's been highly critical of the Australian Electoral Commission throughout the process, wondering if there are other seats that should have been recounted.
How many members of Parliament are currently in Canberra who shouldn't be there?
Hey, good point, Clive. I know I can think of one guy who shouldn't be in Canberra. And finally, Sydney has played host to the Dally M Awards, that night of the year for NRL players to compare girlfriends and try to fit their caveman bodies into a suit. Cooper Cronk took home the Dally M medal for Best and Fairest Player and also a certificate for most NRL-sounding name. Russell Crowe was there to hand out the medals and resisted his usual temptation to hand out leftover Rabbitohs merch. And it's not just Tom Cruise and Oprah.
That's Snoop Dogg. Hey man, did you get the new South Sydney shirt I sent you?
He did. And to all those deserving players who didn't get an award, take comfort, you will always have your giant thighs. For The Roast, I'm Mark Humphries.
Thanks, Mark. Next up tonight, Tony Abbott has returned from talks with Indonesian President Susilo Bambang Yudhoyono, and expectations were lower than in the lead-up to Mercedes Corby's Ralph photo shoot. It all started back when Tony Abbott announced his Buy Back the Boats policy, which invoked this response from Indonesian officials.
They have laughed off the policy and scoffed at it and said, well, how would that work?
And that was followed up by Foreign Minister Julie Bishop's revelation that the coalition
was not asking for Indonesia's permission, we're asking for their understanding.
And finally, Indonesian Foreign Minister Martin Telegawah, after a meeting with Julie Bishop, publicly released a virtual transcript of their private conversation, leaving Australia feeling pretty exposed and violated, and leaving Tony Abbott with some major trust issues regarding his meeting with Yudhoyono. Because how can you truly feel relaxed in a scenario where the lines between public and private are so blurred?
So this is the fertility statue that I got when I was in the islands of Fiji.
Lovely.
Oh, and over there is the Thesula orb that was fashioned by the gypsy tribes of Romania.
Oh, what's that?
Oh, that's just a collage of all the people that I've ever slept with.
Oh. I'm not going to end up on that collage, am I?
Of course not. Why don't you close your eyes and give me a little kiss?
But betrayals of trust aside, the meeting between the two leaders was largely judged a success, with journalists stating, in his first overseas visit as Prime Minister, Tony Abbott set Australia on the path to a stronger, broader relationship with Indonesia. So what happened behind those closed doors? I mean, Tony Abbott must have an amazing hidden talent for smooth talking, which he keeps very, very hidden. Or there's something about what goes on in meetings between heads of state that we just don't know about.
Myself and President Dave will work hard to find a solution to this very complicated issue.
Yes, and now while we've had our differences in the past, we're going to work together for a better tomorrow for all of us. Okay? Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
Okay, they're gone.
Let the diplomacy begin.
Diplomacy is so magical.
Tom, if I could just interrupt for a moment.
Actually, I might just push on with the final story.
I think we all owe our Prime Minister an apology. If you recall on Monday, someone on our show said this. Hi, Foreign Minister Bishop. Yes, I was just wondering if you'd seen Tony? He hasn't come to pick up his mail yet. He's gone to Indonesia. Oh, well, that's a terrible idea. You did tell him it was a terrible idea, didn't you? What a handsome idiot. We didn't think Abbott could pull it off. We all thought him visiting Indonesia was a terrible idea and that someone should tell him it was a terrible idea.
Yeah, we just saw the clip.
But I'm here today to tell you we were wrong.
You were wrong.
Tony Abbott went to Indonesia and he met the shit out of Bang Bang.
I think it's very noble of you to admit your mistake.
So I'm sorry, Tony. I assumed. I made an ass out of you and me. And that's your job. So please accept my apology. Goodbye.
Thank you, Nick. So pushing on with our final...
Saying that, while the meeting went great, the future for boat people, still terrifying.
Oh, I agree. And staying with terrifying, yesterday at precisely 12:01 a.m. Eastern Deadlock Time, the United States government went into shutdown. And by 12:15 a.m, it was still just 12:01 a.m. because the clock was also shut down by the government. Now, government shutdown is, of course, the most drastic measure a government can take, coming after government sleep mode and government screensaver. Now, as we explained yesterday, the shutdown came after the United States Congress failed to pass a budget by yesterday's midnight deadline. And as a result, all non-essential government departments have closed, forcing as many as 800,000 government employees to take unpaid leave and 1 million to work without pay. So the US government is now an army of interns. However, its army of soldiers will continue to be paid, along with other services such as Homeland Security, air traffic control and food inspections. Though only meat inspectors, with all other food avoiding scrutiny on account of it not really being food. So Americans can rest easy knowing that both their borders and their beef are secure. Although with this turn of events, these economy-proof jobs might become far more sought after.
So, what were you doing before you signed up to the wonderful world of beef inspection?
I was a psychiatrist for the government, but I wanted something a bit more secure.
I worked at mission control at NASA, but nothing is as secure as beef inspection. And space exploration wasn't nearly as exciting as beef exploration. You see, it's more than making sure supermarkets don't sell horse meat. You have to be one with the beef. You have to breathe in the beef. What's the beef saying? What's that beef? What's that? I'm naked. And I want gravy clothes.
Tell me, when did the beef start talking to you?
So with nearly 1 million public servants forced to take a holiday, we can only hope they at least enjoy their day off by visiting the Statue of Liberty, wandering around the Smithsonian, taking the kids to the National Zoo, or visiting Yosemite National Park. But they can't because all those things are run by the nearly 1 million public servants forced to take a holiday. But at least they can enjoy some safe meat in their home. All of this is being blamed on Obamacare, which many Republicans want repealed, believing it impinges upon every American's constitutional right to be sick. And yet at the same moment the government shut down, Obamacare commenced. The one thing they wanted stopped, the thing that caused the shutdown, was basically the only thing that didn't shut down, which must at least make the guy who wrote it pretty happy.
Hey.
Oh, hi.
Are you the guy who wrote the Affordable Health Care Act?
Oh, well, most of it, not the whole thing, but yeah, pretty much.
Let me do this.
Oh.
That is for the millions of lives you've saved.
Oh, really? It's just... no.
Hey, are you the guy who wrote the Affordable Health Care Act?
Well, a bit of it, maybe, not the whole thing.
Let me do this. Oh, that's for the millions of lives you've ruined.
And yet, bad as the shutdown is, it is not the worst thing that can happen. The worst thing that can happen is October 17 stops being celebrated as National Pastor Day and starts being celebrated as the day the United States reaches its debt ceiling, starts defaulting on its debt repayments, and all the water turns to acid. Because on a typical day, the United States government makes $9 billion. But of that $9 billion, they spend $15 billion. So really, they make minus $6 billion every single day. So if America defaults, they won't even be allowed to make that minus $6 billion, which means $6 billion worth of services just wouldn't get paid every day until they again raise the debt ceiling and start making minus money all over again, the way the Founding Fathers intended. So start the clock. And let's just hope Congress does something before that clock reaches zero. Otherwise, not just the US, but the global economy will be affected. And then we'll all be looking for those economy-proof jobs.
Breathe the beef. Good.
That looks fun. Good night.
To know good credits, you have to be good credits. Touch the credits. Breathe in the Maguires. The Jensen McKinnons. They're made of human beef.
Beef. Executive producers. Piers Grove is juicy.